For thousands of years, across pretty much every continent, humanity has been asking the same fundamental questions. What lies beneath our feet? And, maybe more importantly, what awaits us after we die? Well, in this explainer, we're going to go on a journey to map the answers, at least the answers imagined by some of the world's greatest ancient civilizations. We're going to descend into the actual blueprints of the afterlife. We're going to map out the answers that these incredible cultures came up with. And we'll explore 4 really distinct visions of the world down below.
First up, we'll visit the Islamic concept of Sijjin. This is the lowest of 7 earths, a kind of prison where the souls and, interestingly, the deeds of sinners are kept.
And then we'll journey to the ancient Sumerian land of no return, a place called Ker. Just imagine a dark, dusty realm of eternal gloom.
From there, we'll navigate the really complex Greek realm of the dead, Hades, which is full of rivers, powerful guardians, and of course, a final judgment.
And finally, we're going to face the perilous trials of the Egyptian underworld, Duat. Now, here's what's so incredible. These ancient maps, they were drawn up in total isolation from each other, but they share a remarkable number of features. Okay, let's dive in and take a closer look.
So first, let's just take a quick tour of these incredible worlds, and we'll start with some of the oldest written stories that we have. Okay, so picture this. Over 5,000 years ago, the Sumerians imagined a place called Ker. And to get there, a soul had to pass through 7 gates. But at each gate, another piece of their earthly life was stripped away. It's this harrowing journey that you can actually see reflected in the famous myth of the goddess Inanna's descent.
Now, the ancient Greeks, well, they had what you might call a very bureaucratic underworld. I mean, look at this. The journey was a clear, step-by-step procedure. You had to pay the ferryman. You had to get past the guard dog. And then you faced the judges, who would decide your eternal fate.
So, depending on that verdict, your soul was sent to one of 3 places. The absolute best-case scenario was Elysium, total paradise. The worst, Tartarus, a pit of eternal torment. But for most people, the destination was the Asphodel Meadows, which was just this gray, shadowy place of eternal boredom.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the Greek view of death. This is coming from their greatest hero, Achilles. It tells you everything you need to know. Life, even a really hard one, was way better than the gray existence that came after it.
For the ancient Egyptians, the afterlife wasn't so much a place as it was a dangerous journey called Duat. And the ultimate prize for surviving this whole ordeal was getting into the field of reeds, which was their version of paradise.
But to get there, you had to pass the ultimate test, the weighing of the heart. Your heart, the very seat of your conscience, was literally weighed against a single feather representing truth. If your heart was heavy with sin, well, it was devoured, and your soul was annihilated. Forever. So, okay, we've got these distinct, fascinating worlds. But did you start to notice the common threads? It's almost as if these cultures, separated by centuries and seas, were all working from the same psychological blueprint.
This table lays out the patterns in a really interesting way. I mean, just look at the similarities across the rows. Every single underworld has some kind of barrier, right? Like the River Styx or the 7 gates. Each one has a guardian, like Cerberus or Anubis, and in most of them, there's a final judgment.
And then there's this number, 7. It just shows up again and again and again. So in Sumer, we see 7 gates and 7 judges. In Islamic tradition, sources talk about 7 earths, with the lowest one, Sijjin, being a prison where the deeds of sinners are recorded. This can't be a coincidence. It really points to a shared symbolic language that cuts across all these different cultures. So this brings us to the crucial question. Why? Why did humanity independently create such similar stories about what comes next? The answer isn't about predicting the future. It's really about meeting these deep, universal human needs that we all have right here in the present. These stories, they really serve 3 key purposes. First, they give us a sense of ultimate justice in a world that, let's be honest, often feels unfair. Second, they give a map to our greatest fear, the great unknown. And third, they offer this incredibly powerful metaphor for personal transformation. Yeah, this idea of a descent into the underworld is such a powerful metaphor for personal growth. Think about it. Every great leader, every innovator, they all go through their own underworld, a period of failure and doubt. I mean, think of Steve Jobs getting fired from Apple, or Elon Musk facing bankruptcy before their greatest successes. So what's the key takeaway here?
Well, these ancient maps of the afterlife, they're really maps of the human psyche. They remind us that our actions have consequences, that they have weight, and that true growth often requires a journey through our own personal darkness.
Ultimately, these stories teach us that facing our own underworld isn't the end. It's actually a necessary part of any hero's journey. So the real question isn't what lies beneath the earth, but what lies within you when you're tested. What will you learn in your descent? Thanks for joining this explainer.